What's up, and welcome back to the Kind of Funny Screencast, our show where we review the latest in TV and movies and live react to TV and movie trailers. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I'm joined by the Big Daddy himself, Greg Miller.
Hello.
The Big Dog, Kevin Coelho.
What's up, dude?
The producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hey now.
And the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Great afternoon, everybody. Great morning.
Great morning to you all as well. Of course, today we're talking about the finale of Peacemaker, but we have a whole bunch of other great reviews live right now, including our Uncharted movie review. You can get it the same place you can get this show, and that is youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You could also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny Screencast, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to write into the show, if you wanted to get the show ad-free, and if you wanted to watch it live as it's being recorded, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Gordon McGuire, Molecule, and at James Davis Makes have done. We appreciate you all so very much. And because of your support on Patreon, you're not going to have to hear our ads later for Upstart and Green Chef, but everyone else, you're going to have to. And we're going to get to all that later because I want to get right into it. We've been loving this show. Did it stick the landing? Greg Miller, I want to start with you.
Tim, they stuck the fucking landing. Are you kidding me? What an episode of Peacemaker. What a season of Peacemaker. Just incredible. And if I can, of course, ladies and gentlemen, where I'd like to start as always, Greg Miller, I've been doing this a long time. I would like to tell everyone who tried to talk shit to eat shit. Because if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing I know. Well, hold on. Andy, Kevin, Tim, Nick. There's one thing the four of you know.
Yeah.
DC EU fans, like myself, are insufferable. And recently I tweeted out about how, oh my God, this is the best thing the DC EU's ever done. I can't believe it. Obviously, they announced the Peacemaker show is not what I wanted. I wasn't expecting to, and here it is, the best thing. And a number of my brethren pushed up their glasses, adjusted their pocket protectors, and tried to come, well, actually, this isn't the DC EU because of such stuff. Fuck you. Look who shows up at the end of the Justice League. You stupid fucks. Get out of here. This show was incredible. This episode was incredible. Tim, I can just, I mean, it was incredible. 5 out of 5. I know we're going to go into spoilers later on all the different things that happened. 5 out of 5. Amazing. This is an amazing series, an amazing episode. I'm so happy with it. I can't wait for a season 2.
Nick Scarpino, I see you chomping at the bit. What'd you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought sticking the landing. Like last week we talked about it. I was like, they've already stuck the landing. All they need to do is park the plane basically at the gate, and that's exactly what they did. There were the episode itself was missing a couple dramatic beats that I think they could have had. Like I think there could have been a little bit more toward the end there. He just sort of walks in, and it doesn't seem like there's too much more for him to overcome once he gets downstairs. But I like a little bit of the twists that they did, and then as we're walking away, I was like, I'm totally and completely happy with this episode. I think it was really good. I don't think it was the strongest episode we've had so far. And then the camera cuts to the opposite of what they're looking at, and the fucking Justice League is there. And he's like, you're late, dicks. Then they actually got Jason Momoa.
Are we going full spoilers, or?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're full spoilers on this.
Got it, guys.
They actually got Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller to do a couple like punch-in lines.
And curse.
So good.
And that was great. And I'm like, that's what this show is. This show, the strength of this show is that they really, 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 like Kevin and I were talking before this started, and Kevin was like, they really gave James Gunn kind of carte blanche on all this. And you can tell he wanted this, and this is what this needed. And it's perfect. It's just, anything can happen in this show. And that's what a lot of these TV shows are missing for me, right? They feel very constrained. They feel very like, Kevin and I were saying, like, the MCU shows feel like they really have to fit into this format and fit with everything else. This one's just bonkers. This is like anything can happen. They could have had Batman come in at the end and have a cup of coffee with Peacemaker, and it would have made sense. And that's super fun. It's very creative, and this I want them to make a season 2 of this show.
Well, you're getting it. They just announced it yesterday. Season 2 of Peacemaker is officially happening. Andy Cortez, what do you think?
Well, I hadn't been on the last 2 episodes of this show, so I had some catching up to do. I got some explaining to do, Lucy. It's a I Love Lucy reference.
I Love Lucy reference, everybody.
Great reference.
Nick at Night. Did
you guys watch the Nicole Kidman guy from that one? Roman? Yeah. No. They did a movie about I Love Lucy over break.
It was on Amazon. Right? You guys
loved it. I loved it. I was like, give me a series of this. Are you kidding me right now?
Was like 10
Nicole Kidman can do no wrong. You know what I mean? Come on. When are we doing Nicole Kidman in review, Tim? Stop being a coward. Nicole Kidman, 5 out of 5, amazing.
We have to also watch the intro at AMC theaters when she watches.
Yeah, remember how long Australia was? A long movie.
The last two episodes, including this one, I think totally amped up the show in a way that made me overall really enjoy the show. I still am not laughing 100%, and that's not been the case for a lot of the other James Gunn's movies. I still have my complaints there, where it's just like we've done this sort of kind of a comedy bit before, and it's like kind of getting worse now. But I think the show succeeds overall in making the story exciting, in giving you twists and turns you weren't expecting. And legitimately, that Justice League moment is the hardest I ever laughed at this show. That made it all worth it. That moment was like so fucking perfect, and I'm so glad that they actually went through with it. Again, I just really enjoyed what the story was doing. I enjoyed a lot of what was happening with this race of butterflies and butterflies.
Yeah, butterflies.
I just really dug how weird it was, and to see the end, to see old pappy racist white dragon guy still be there, in his sort of head, as a figment of his imagination. I wonder how that's going to impact season 2. I wonder if that's going to be a recurring theme. It's probably going to be, and I don't know. From the first several episodes to these last 3, I just think my enjoyment levels were just constantly on the rise. So I had a blast with this show.
Kevin Koala.
I mean, I love it. I think that it's one of the best. I mean, I think it certainly might be the best superhero show that we've gotten. And like, I think that it's very closely, like it's that or Watchmen, and Watchmen is a drama. So I feel like they're different, but what is one similarity that they share is they're both from like HBO, or they're both DC shows. And I was saying to Nick, I worry that MCU will never get to this level, because it just seems like, because the DCU sucks so hard, they can do whatever they want. They give their creators a lot of freedom to really do something special and have as much fun. Like the violence is so over the top, but like that fits the comedy and the characters that we see.
Oh, there he goes.
And
there
it makes it so it's fine. Let him walk off. He needs to breathe. Like the fact that this ends and we have that cameo at the end, like that I feel like that strengthened the whole series in a sense of continuity that like was before just alluded at. It sucks that they just won't give what is it, Cavill? Yeah, that's right. Henry Cavill a shot. They won't give him a shot. They had to have Superman in the fucking shadow. They couldn't just have Henry come in to do one shot.
Well, they didn't have Gal either. Gal was also in the shadow, right?
She's amazing. Come on. Like, Gal's doing other stuff.
Okay,
Henry's
first
just
off,
sitting at home putting together no computer.
I'll sit here and I'll eat all the shit I deserve for the DCEU. You know that. You know that I'll take it. You know that I'm with you.
Greg.
But we're not going to talk shit about Henry Cavill not being amazing. All right?
All I'm saying is he's not doing as
Gal
much.
Gadot's making another fucking whatever shitty Netflix film. Henry Cavill's making another great Netflix show. It's amazing out there to be Henry Cavill right now.
No, but like that moment, like I mean that was such a huge moment for me, where like that elevates this show to a level that the majority of these shows that are on streaming platforms will never hit, where it's like, I don't know if we're going to see moments like that in any of the MCU shows where we have like the big 7 essentially, right? Popping up on a smaller show. And I'm so happy they did it. I'm blown away by how much I enjoyed the show. Again, coming into it, I never thought I was going to enjoy it nearly as, like, every single week I was so excited. And we had screeners of it, so we had access to this whole show, and it was so difficult not to just binge watch.
Dude, I mean, that was the thing. Is they totally left us hanging. They didn't give us the finale because they didn't want people to leak stuff. So we had watched all of 7, last Monday. And so then to sit for, more than a week waiting, I was like, oh my God, this sucks.
Yeah, I'm in line with everybody. I give the season a 5 out of 5, and I honestly give every episode of this a 5 out of 5, where I've had a blast the entire way through. I think that the show did such a good thing about focusing on James Gunn's strengths that aren't just comedy, aren't just horror, aren't just character. It's all of them combined, and the balance between them all, I think we have never seen quite this well balanced. And I think that that is true from beginning to end. And the way that they ended it, like Nick was saying, like, it was really on them. They had the landing stuck already, but what were they going to do with this? And they really did something special. Like, not just the Justice League cameo, but what they did with the Justice League cameo. Like, having Jason Momoa saying "fuck you" to Barry is like so great, and like that again, it grounds the universe in this new world. It almost feels like James Gunn's kind of stealing back the DCEU and kind of like being like, you know what, it can be something different. And he's been doing that since episode 1 with the little making a thing canon every episode, all of that. Like with this episode, Green Arrow, right? Like them talking about Green Arrow, and this is like that they're talking about a Green Arrow in the DCEU
Brony
like,
convention with a 4-inch asshole. Jesus Christ!
I love that he was like, "No, that's the one thing that's true." Like that's I've heard that as well. Everything else is full of shit, but like I've heard that one too.
I mean, I would have never thought that we would see our Aquaman respond to John Cena saying that he fucks fish, right? But he did, and it felt like it was believable in the world that they're in, where it's not like this weird thing.
But he responded to Flash also. Yeah. Like Ezra Miller, like that's like who made the same joke, and it was just like something about that feels like I don't know that any other like I don't think the MCU is gonna have a cameo like that. I hope they do. I hope they have a show where, you know, we see, I don't know, old man Captain America come out, you know?
I think what was more, I guess, enjoyable about it, Tim, is that I initially just thought, you know, they're going to keep him in black silhouette.
Yeah, yep.
And then I thought, oh, are they just going to, similar to how we saw Sandman and Lizard in Spider-Man, like, but it was just old footage. I thought maybe they're just going to take old green screen footage and kind of insert them here to kind of make them look like they're there.
Because when they do the first thing, it was obviously the silhouettes, and then when they walk by him, I was like, oh, that looks like Momoa. They did a good job getting a body double for that or whatever.
Yeah, well, when they walked by him, I was like, oh, they're just getting footage. That was my thought. They're just taking footage from the old movies and just kind of inserting it here, and then just the perfect payoff. That's going to be that's one of the best moments, I think, in any comic book hero TV show. I legitimately, that was such a great moment, and it all kind of was worth it in the end of all the jokes that we heard along the way. It's like, finally, it's here, you know?
And that's one of the things I want to compliment him on, is that obviously we're talking about this moment because it was unexpected and it was great and it wasn't spoiled and yada, yada, yada. That's great, and it's such a huge payoff, right? But I think on the opposite end of the scale, right? Like, when Diebeard has to explain Diebeard, right, as an alien to the alien. I was like,
so
oh my
powerful.
God, I can't believe they're paying off on this joke that's been the running joke, right? Like, that is awesome.
And that's really what I love most about the show. Is the Justice League cameo is really cool, but I feel like it was just the cherry on top of things. I feel like James Gunn did such a good job with that cherry, of even showing that cherry more respect and trying to elevate it a little bit. Like, I was even more impressed by the Amanda Waller actual cameo at the end with what that meant storyline wise, like exposing Task Force X. That is such a interesting place for the DCEU to be put right now, especially after the Suicide Squad movie. And like, that feels like real consequence to the universe and to what we're going to see in the upcoming films or TV shows or whatever it is. But this episode really tied up all the storylines, every single character. We've said it week after week, but they did such a good job of making us care about this team that we all kind of actively didn't want to care for. Like, I feel like we went in not wanting to, not just like Peacemaker, but the people around him. It's just like, we don't give a fuck about Harcourt. And here we are. Here I'm hoping, praying that she's not dead. And it's like, that's really, really, really good television.
My one negative to the thing is I thought it was cheap that nobody died. That Vigilante went down and then Hardcore went down, because it was when these people
Vigilante joke was hilarious though, because you see him get shot and go down, and then after everything's done, he just walks back in frame and he's like,
I'll just walk it off.
You're shot. You're shot. You need to be checked in, and he's like, nah, I'll be fine.
It was that thing where I can't, like, again, the show does such a great job of making me care about the characters in a way I don't expect, that I didn't even know that I cared about them, or if that makes sense, right? So when Vigilante went down, I was like, oh my God, no. And then when Hardcore went down, I was coughing up blood and stuff. I was like, okay, I can't believe I'm not sitting here being like, I'm gonna miss her. I wish she would be back.
Yeah.
And even to the point of like not to the getting teased with a death, but like when John Diebeard is going down the stairs, like I felt that tension. And I was like, if
Yeah.
again, we watch Suicide Squad and you tell me I'm gonna care so much about this guy and like that I'm gonna be like, oh God, I hope he gets out of this alive. Holy shit.
I got the joke that got me the most in this one was he was like, what do you think you're doing? Why are you going in there? He goes, because of this bag? And he goes,
Yeah.
okay. He goes,
How the
"I
fuck
can't
did
believe
that
works."
work? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, one of the biggest things that like I felt really relieved that like they didn't do this is that we didn't get the Eagly like fake out. Like at no point in this episode was Eagly like almost dead. I know that we got like I didn't feel like he was gonna die in the last episode when he gets punched. I like it was serious, but at no point did I think, oh, he's gonna die. I just feel like that would have been a really easy moment to like get everyone by the feelings, and instead they were just like, oh, Eagly has a joke in this one. He can only understand so much, and he just drops the hat in the wrong place, and that was awesome. I love that.
funny.
So
That's
funny.
so funny.
But I'm just happy that we didn't get a fake out with him. I'm fine with the other fake outs of like everyone else getting shot and nearly dying. That's fine.
I do like I do think one of the strengths of the show is obviously, I mean, we've been talking about the characters, but I was kind of taken aback by the genuine moment that he had with Goff at the end
Oh yeah.
when she was like, hey, stop, like let's talk about this for a second. Like I spent time with you, you fed me, you cared for me. I actually legitimately think that you could help us and like you're that kind of like a good person. And then when he shoots the detective in the chest instead of the head, I was like, oh, he doesn't want to kill Goff. And then Goff comes out. I was like, oh no, Goff's gonna like attack him. But then no, we get the payoff of Goff just kind of coming in like there's nothing else for them to do, right? The
Yeah.
food source is gonna dry up eventually. So Goff just goes and hangs out with him on his porch with Eagly. Because what else are you gonna do, right? They're kind of like
Yeah.
homies. And I was like, that actually kind of is endearing in a weird way.
Yeah.
Well, dude,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what I think makes it special is like it's James Gunn, like going back to his strengths. Like the character isn't just like, oh, characters that are endearing that we like. It's like he's actually trying to say something with the show. And I feel like he stuck the landing on his message of what he's trying to get across, which is all this shit's very complicated. And like that whole speech that she gives about the minor inconveniences and all that. And then for Peacemaker to make the choice he does and then explain it later to Harcourt or Adebayo in the hospital. It's like, man, like James Gunn has been through some shit and he is like getting it out through this show. And I think that he learned from stuff and he's trying to teach others. And I think that is like such a strength that we don't always get in some of these shows. Like even some of the best superhero shows we've had, like The Boys, that's incredible. I do think most of its strengths are just kind of how out there it can be and like how kind of like over the top and they just commit to that, whereas like this is over the top and commits to that in both comedy and violence and all of it, but it really is trying to say something, and I think that they said it well.
Like,
I mean, I think go ahead, Kev.
I was going to say this show is a character study on Peacemaker and his growth from like trying to like it's funny because like the whole time Peacemaker's story, it like his own internal monologue of what he is the same, but like it's him bettering himself as a person, and it's just so well done.
Yeah. I think the apt comparison, Tim, is absolutely to The Boys, right? I think they're both sort of meta commentaries on the superhero genre, but where The Boys sort of deconstructs it and twists it, this one is more about the redemption of like what these one-off sort of like not I guess one-dimensional characters that you would look at, and Peacemaker is such a perfect like starting point for that. The fact that like let's just look at where we've come from, right? James Gunn gets a first shot at remaking Suicide Squad because
There's a lot of second shots happening that are first shots. I hear you. It's confusing.
You only get one shot twice.
So exactly. So a year ago when they announced it, we're all excited, right? They announced the cast. We're excited.
Are we excited?
Yeah, but James Gunn doing Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be at least interesting to watch.
I think
I'm sure it'll be.
we were trepidatious.
Well, we
no
were
way.
cautiously
That sounded like a
optimistic.
slam dunk.
Oh yeah,
So-
for me it was just like this is James Gunn. Like
Right, it's going to be
down.
fun regardless. But my point is, you see John Cena pop up in this, and you go, "Oh, that's going to be a fun side character, right?" No, I don't think any of us were thinking, "Man, we're in this for the long haul with John Cena's interpretation
all are
of
now.
Peacemaker." And here I am starting this episode off with, "Give us a second season of Peacemaker, you cowards!" And of course, they relent to me, as everyone does.
Everyone bends the knee to Nick.
Before I get to you, Andy, let me tell you about our sponsors.
Green Chef is the greenest way to get your greens. It's the most sustainable meal kit out there, offsetting 100% of their plastic packaging in every box and 100% of their carbon footprint and emissions. Their pre-portioned ingredients mean you reduce your food waste by at least 25% compared to boring old grocery shopping. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well with options for every lifestyle like keto and paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. I'm Greg Miller, and I use Green Chef. They just sent me a box the other day. We had these Greek pitas. They were delicious. You cut them in half, and you put all the delicious stuff in there. Came in a brown bag. You open up the brown bag, take out all these other brown bags, then you recycle it all, then you eat this delicious food. It's great. Why wouldn't you do this? Go to greenchef.com/kindafunny130 and use the code kindafunny130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/kindafunny130 and code kindafunny130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Think of all the things you could do and all the places you could go if you didn't have high interest loans or credit card debt. Upstart helps make those dreams a reality by helping you pay off your existing debt quickly with a personal loan. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan all online. Whether you're paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows you're more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute rate check, you can see your rate upfront for your loans between $1,000 and $50,000 and receive your funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/kindafunny. That's upstart.com/kindafunny. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/kindafunny.
Andy Cortez.
I would be really interested to hear those conversations behind closed doors where HBO Max approaches James Gunn and says, all right, we really need something to bring people into our ecosystem. We want people to pay for our service. What can you do? What do we want? You know, whatever you want to do, we want you to direct a TV show. And like, what were his other choices besides Peacemaker? Because you make a great point, Nick. Like,
that's not what happened, right?
Yeah, it was the other way. He pitched HBO.
And that's I would love to hear like the reasoning for that, because I feel like James Gunn is so talented and he could theoretically do this treatment with really any character he wanted, right? But why Peacemaker? I think that's the thing that like interests me so much. Obviously, he's very familiar with the character's backstory and he's very familiar with the history of a lot of these comic book characters. But I love that, again, he was able to make a side character worth watching in a way that I still struggle with a lot of things that the Star Wars universe is doing with their TV offerings, where it's definitely gotten to the point where it's like the internet joke now is, oh great, we're gonna get an 8-episode run about this fucking robot trash can that was on Tatooine. Like that's, I genuinely hope we don't get to the point like that with to where I'm feeling that way with DC or whatever Marvel is doing. But I would love to sort of hear his thought process of like, why Peacemaker, you know?
Well, I mean, I can tell you probably from you know, his perspective, I think he really enjoys writing characters that are flawed and starting off at a really low point or a place that's interesting, right? It's one of the
Redemption,
things that, like, yeah. I mean, I've only watched the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, but one of the things that struck me as sort of a little bit off was that Boba Fett just sort of feels like a good character, like a good guy, and that I think would have been a lot more interesting to me if we'd have started Boba Fett off slightly closer to where Peacemaker was, where he's just this deplorable character with very, very few redeeming qualities. And then through the show, he kind of learns something different. Greg from KindaFunny.
I'm going to take you to digitalspy.com, where Dan Seddon has an article up from August that says Suicide Squad boss James Gunn explains why Peacemaker was chosen as the first spinoff. I'm going to jump right to the quotes. These are from James, obviously. #1, I really got along with John Cena. We became really good friends. He's a funny guy, and I thought it would be fun to continue working with him. I also think that there's a lot of characters we saw in the Suicide Squad. We saw big changes in them. Ratcatcher 2 changed a lot. Bloodsport changed a lot. Polka Dot Man changed a lot. Peacemaker kind of remained the unrepentant SOB that he was at the beginning of the movie, and I knew that there was a lot deeper to go with the character. John and I had talked about where the character came from, who he was, and who his father was, and all these different kinds of things that we didn't get to see in the movie. So I knew there was a more story there to explore. From the how why to go to TV. I do think that the TV format, it brings a lot more freedom that film doesn't. Film is so short. You have to keep the plot going from scene to scene. In the Peacemaker show, we were able to take a lot of risks, a lot of chances, explore dramatic elements that we aren't able to do in a movie, explore comedy in a way that we aren't, and have incredibly long, incredibly high octane action sequences that take place in every single episode. It really just is everything I love. Comedy, drama, action, all in one TV series. And that doesn't take itself too seriously, but in other ways takes itself very seriously.
Yeah, what I appreciate too about James Gunn is it kind of felt like he put himself in a position where he has to play on hard mode, where when you think about where Peacemaker ended in Suicide Squad, like James Gunn decided to do that, right? Like he's the one that wrote that. And it's like I remember us watching the Suicide Squad and being like, yo, we gotta have a Peacemaker show in just a couple months. Like, remember, Suicide Squad came out 6 months ago, right? Like that's crazy that we got that and then this follow-up sequel show that is such a direct continuation so soon, where we last saw the title character being a straight up just bad guy and like murdering our hero of the movie. And for him to start there and then redeem it and have it feel valid, I think is such an incredible feat. But like, it's a decision he made. Like he chose to do that where he could have just had John Cena, Peacemaker, kind of be one of the good guys at the end of it, right? Be more on the rat catcher side of things.
Right. It could have been Peacemaker. What's his name? Ric Flair? Not Ric Flair. Rick Flag.
Rick Flag.
It could have been Rick Flag.
In the Suicide Squad.
Right. Like the easier way to do it would Rick Flag one. He kills Peacemaker because Peacemaker's the bad guy, and then we write the Rick Flag show. But that's not fun. Who wants to see that? I mean, to your point, Tim. Yeah, it's way more fun to watch a good writer and a good crew dig themselves out of a hole than it is to start a character that's a relatively good guy and just throw some conflict into that person's life.
Yeah. And I also think they did a really good job with the butterflies overall, where from introducing such a weird element early on with the butterflies is like, cool, these little bugs are the bad guys. And then they clearly are like, there's some conspiracies going on, but the way that they played it, where it's like, oh shit, this person's a butterfly and that person's a butterfly and they knew, but they didn't know. Like, it was such a good rise of escalation to get to, okay, the reveal of the cow and the reveal of what the actual plot was. I just love that it all kind of fed into itself. And when we get the scene of them suited up, badass, walking out to the theme song,
oh my God.
Man, this is just so well crafted. This is so excellent, so hyped. The choreography is fun. And again, that whole scene was ridiculously over the top. Seeing that dude get sonic boom to like the body gore, the amount of blood, the amount of just ridiculousness, the Luigi side B torpedo that Adebayo does. It's like,
that's
so
something
funny.
that I wish we had more of. I think that final action sequence was fantastic. Having that wow moment that I'm not sure if I felt a lot throughout the rest of the series, but when his shield is flying in the air and he shoots it to hit the dude in the head, like I was like, fuck, that is good. Like I need more choreography like that because they absolutely nailed that sequence. Even Vigilante getting shot and being like, oh fuck, and then just like turning around and just doing a one shot and then hitting the ground, like all of that sequence was so well thought out.
In the very beginning when they're running and shooting to all stuff, and even Vigilante's shooting, but then he like beheads the dude, and that was like when I was like, oh fuck, and like we went and the music's so good. Holy shit, was that fun?
Yeah,
they absolutely crushed it.
I loved all that part. The one thing I think that I found really interesting about the episode that I wish they had introduced slightly earlier was that it kind of came out of nowhere where Goff's like, hey, we're trying to save the world. And I'm like, well, that feels, I mean, I understand and I believe them. And I feel that he was conflicted in that moment, but I wish they had set that up a little bit more because as a viewer, I was like, there's no way he's going to side with this person. He's going to shoot her in the head, of course.
I mean, for a second, well, we know Peacemaker is going to be the goodish guy. Right. Like I knew he wouldn't, but I did think they made a compelling case, and I did think Goff's reasoning made sense. And it was, I thought it was interesting too to use.
Right.
Be very clear. We made a vow, and then it flashes back to Peacemaker making his vow, and vows are so important to superheroes. And
but I wish that element had been introduced during the episode where Goff was like in the glass jar, because I think that would have been an interesting moment of conflict for Peacemaker to actually. Yeah, but
in the peace sign.
But I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. When they did it, and then she escaped and started getting in people's faces, I was like, all right, well, she was just trying to break out.
She's just trying to break out. Exactly.
Was trying to break out.
I think a testament to the show being as good as it is like that's the thing I have the least problem with. Where like I'm not even sure I have a problem with any of what happened with Goff and the butterfly stuff at the end. I thought it worked, and I love what Tim was mentioning earlier with the butterflies, how you weren't ever quite sure what the right call was. And when she's kind of pleading to him at the end, I thought, no, this is going to be some ploy. She's just trying to fuck him. And then we're going to get the sequence, like in a lot of movies, where she's like, so join us. And he's like, fuck no, I won't join you, whatever. And then she's going to go, well, then fucking die. Like, I was expecting that kind of typical bullshit to happen. But for her to genuinely be like, we're trying to save your race. We're trying to save this planet. Like, this planet is dying. And for him to make the goddamn Joel Last of Us decision of like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm kind of like, I feel like right now I may be making a gigantic mistake, but possibly maybe I have hope in the greater good of human beings to kind of make the right choices along the way.
But also from his perspective, I actually really loved his rationale for that, right? Where he's sitting in the hospital and he's like, that I just doomed the entire planet to like death. And Adebayo was like, no, I mean, we're going to make our own choices. Like, we have to trust in ourselves. But she's like, why didn't you side with them? He goes, because I knew they were going to hurt you guys. Like, I didn't want them to do that. And like,
it's such a great follow-up where he calls her Ads. And I was like, oh, that's a good nickname for her. And then he's like, behind Eagly, your BFF number 2.
Yeah, he's like, don't tell
and
V.
then she shows the emotion.
Don't tell V.
Then we get the whole scene of her going home to her fiance and or her wife and the dogs. That was, God, what a show.
Yeah, I'm so happy they didn't separate them or cause strife with them. Like, I like that they can just be happy. And it's
my one thought was that when she was walking in and it was in slow motion, I thought the wife was about to catch one to the head from Amanda Waller's goons or whatever.
Oof.
Oh shit, that would have been rough.
What
are your all's hopes for season 2? What like, because personally, let me just say it first. I'm really like, am I doing the thing where I'm asking the question just so I can get my thought out there? Possibly.
Andy,
but I'm also continuing the conversation.
Just slack me. Andy, what do you want for season 2?
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for asking me. I would like a bit more restriction on James Gunn's comedy. Just a little bit.
I think you're the only one that feels that. Yeah, I think you're the only one that feels that.
Here's the thing.
Just tighten it up. Just tighten it up a little bit, like 10%.
Looser. Give him more control.
Throughout all the episodes. However, like, I hysterically, like, Wet Hot American Summer laughed the first time I ever watched that when Ads and John are like, all right, she's going. I was born to do this, and she runs, and then he steps off the fence and goes down. Like, oh no! It's like just split in half for no reason. I thought that was I was down here all by myself laughing hysterically. Like,
more like that. More like that, because I think they nailed a lot of the physical slapstick stuff. Adebayo flying through the fucking thing at the end. Like, there was a lot of great moments of comedy like that. It's the stuff that I'm talking about is more of the, well, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean? That doesn't even fucking make sense. Yeah, it does. It means blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what it fucking means. Like,
James, don't listen to Andy. Don't
listen to Andy, James.
James, you know what? Tune in to twitch.tv/Andy Cortez, and every time he puts up one of his dumb little fucking Photoshop faces, be like, no, this isn't funny. I don't like this. This is
getting personal. Jesus Christ.
You're attacking James Gunn. He's watching. I'm bringing it to the mat. I'm just saying.
It's not personal for you.
I like the faces. I don't know why James hates the faces.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hi, Mario's funny. Snape's funny.
Thank you.
They just recycled the thing where you put your face on that guy's dick. That was great.
Thank you.
I thought I get where Andy's coming from, and I just think that this show, more so than some of the other things we've seen, did a good job of keeping the style of jokes to characters. So when it is Vigilante making that type of joke for at 18 time with John Cena, I'm kind of like, that's their relationship, and I feel like that type of annoyance was always built into their dynamic that I think did grow over the show, and it allowed for moments where you can expect certain types of humor for certain characters. And I think that when that level of writing goes into it, I'm a little more willing for not every joke to land, because that's kind of the point for them not to land. And that does, I think, make it a little more clever, if not laugh out loud funny, but at least there's something there. But I really like the line of dialogue here. It's like, the Warriors don't often talk about how often people shit their pants when they die. It's a touch of gray in the white cloud of kicking ass. It's like, I can see people not vibing with that, but John Cena saying it as Peacemaker, I think, makes it funny. Or at the very least clever.
And maybe that's what it is with me, Tim. It's like, because Vigilante didn't only have that back and forth with John Cena. He had that back and forth with everybody. That's kind of like what he would always do. He'd say the wrong thing and they'd go, that's not what it is. Yeah, what do you mean that's what it is? No, you're fucking wrong. Like, he had that with every character on this show. And maybe it's just a byproduct of me not fully loving that actor. I just
Mhm.
never felt like he 100% nailed it.
No, I
Similar
don't.
to Diebeard, even though that final moment with Diebeard was
So
I don't think
good.
it's that. I think
fantastic.
it's just the typical James Gunn. Like James Gunn's comedy runs such
Wide net.
a wide spectrum of like cringeworthy fart jokes for 15 minutes at the beginning of this episode to that hilarious line that Tim said, which was followed up by, was it shit or diarrhea? And he was like, it was diarrhea. It was diarrhea. Right. So I
Which
think it's
I
just.
thought was funny though. That's the thing.
liked
Like
it.
the,
Oh no,
the
that line
wide
was
net.
that line was
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just one of those things where like you got to kind of, unfortunately with James Gunn, you got to take the good with the bad. Like, but I do wish that they'd let a couple people in on the editing bay and be like, we can cut this fart joke down like 30 seconds, and I think it would actually work.
I guess I just never felt that way during the Suicide Squad movie.
I did.
Nor
I think there's definitely jokes in the Suicide
nor did I
movie
feel that way
that
in
will
any
work
of the
in.
Guardians movies. Like
I mean,
to this
for me,
degree.
For me, maybe not to this degree because we're getting 8 hours of it, but there's definitely, I mean, if you go back and watch, I'm sure I made the same comment for the Guardians movie where I'm like, he puts 200 jokes in and 50 of them don't hit, but the other 150 do, so it works out okay. And that's just his style. But,
All personal preference.
Yeah.
Whatever
they
floats
could dial
your
it
boat.
back a little bit, I'd be okay with it, but who knows?
Thank you.
I
I'm not
want them to-
100%
yeah.
wrong. Thank you, Nick. Jesus.
For season 2, what I'd like is for them to have as much fun as they're having making season 1, because like it feels like everyone is having a great time. So just keep the energy, take the story wherever the hell you want, and I'd like to add that Andy's 100% wrong.
For season 2, I'd like to see another contained story. I like that this worked because it really was focused on the butterfly efforts and then the characters' dynamics together. They didn't get too crazy. They didn't get too big. I think that with season 2, there's going to be that risk of them going too big. But at the same time, I think James Gunn can handle it. And I feel like expanding it to this Task Force X, like wider Suicide Squad thing, I think would be pretty cool. I wouldn't be upset if we got more cameos of I don't even want to call them cameos. If we had other Suicide Squad characters that survived in the show and kind of get a little bit more background on them and kind of give them the Peacemaker treatment, even if they're not the star of the show, like maybe just like an episode that focuses on them and like the different aspects of them, I think that could be really cool.
Agreed.
I want Michael Keaton.
You can get Michael Keaton.
Yeah, put Michael Keaton in there.
It was weird there's no
He's
Batman,
so
right?
tired.
No,
Greg, what's up with
I'm
that?
sure-
Where are we at timeline wise with all the Snyderverse stuff? Because I thought that was interesting that they
Oh
had
my
this
God.
cast of Justice League people.
Well, Snyderverse, right? We would be after all the events of both Justice Leagues. I paused and I have it enhanced over on my screen over here. On my TV, I thought, well, they're definitely leaving it vague so they could get around it if they wanted to. On my TV, it looked like Superman was in the all black suit, thus making Snyderverse canon. However, on my screen over here, the cape is pretty definitively a dark red. But again, you could hem and haw about that. So they're saying, we're picking up here in the Justice League thing. The main thing about not having Batman in there, number one, is, I don't think they want to remind you about Ben Affleck yet. And I think the Flash is about to undo and redo a bunch of stuff. As we know, it's about to undo and redo a bunch of stuff, right? The rumor being that Michael Keaton is going to become DCEU Batman after this movie. And of course, there's all this stuff about they're going to blink Henry Cavill out of it anyway. I think it's more the fact that they've made a lot of jokes at Superman's expense. Obviously, Superman. You want to have him in there. Wonder Woman's Wonder Woman. No Cyborg, of course, because Ray Fisher on the ass with DC about everything that's going on with how shitty he was treated. And so, yeah, I think that's where you're at. But I think the Flash is about to rewrite the DCEU anyway. So at least for these kind of heroes.
I am really excited to just see, and hopefully there's some sort of backlash, just because I'm excited to hear that type of backlash of like people getting mad at that sort of little line of dialogue from, I'm already forgetting the name of the character, the butterfly lady.
Goff.
Yeah, just her little sort of her back and forth with Peacemaker at the end of being like, this planet, you all ignore this and that, listening to fucking dumb shit politics. All of that part, I just really enjoyed, kind of just the commentary.
Making a big deal out of minor inconveniences.
Yeah, I really just
line.
enjoyed all of that back and forth. I also had kind of forgotten that amidst all of the chaos, that was the same butterfly that he took care of the whole time. So I really enjoyed kind of having that moment, even though it's not really a reveal. If you just have a good memory, you know that. But I had, by this point, had kind of forgotten all of that. So
honestly, I had to.
Not that it didn't happen, but that relationship had taken place. So for her to be like, thank you for taking care of me. I saw the type of person and the character you are, I really enjoyed that back and forth. I just thought it was so well done in that moment of chaos to kind of show trust from her point of view and be like, look, you're one of the good ones. Thank you for taking care of me. I was trying to talk to you. Like the peace sign, all that was done so great. And it's moments like that that really kind of make me want to explore this series a lot more. And we'll get to do that in season 2.
Yes, we will. And we will be reacting to that whenever it comes out. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about Peacemaker's finale and the season as a whole, and what you want to see in season 2. Until next time, Greg Miller,
great.
what do you got?
Sorry, I know we love discussing our business on the air and making decisions. Real quick, are we ranking this on the DCEU scale at some point? I know usually we don't do it on a finale. I didn't know how we're doing it nowadays.
It's an excellent question, Greg. I'm working it out, trying to figure it out. I will say yes, we will.
Okay.
It will be added. I don't know if it's going to be a full episode or just a mini episode. I'm working on the schedule still for in review the next couple weeks and months and stuff like that. So we'll see. It will be added to DCU EU in review at some point, though. So
Sure. Let me know. Just let me know.
I will.
Also,
we
let me
still
loose
need.
let me loose
we
on the
need-
Eternals because I can't wait
Yeah.
to fucking sandbag this movie to hell.
We need your Eternals vote. We need your Venom 2 vote, Greg. So make sure you watch that movie. Okay. So next time, love you.
I will watch Venom 2, but you will have to give me a deadline because I will punt that football as far as I can before I have to sit down and be like, oh fuck, here we go.
It'll be for the next movie, the next Marvel movie.